Hello people and welcome to Skyrim Mods and more. In this episode we have 10, actually a bit more, of the biggest, or maybe I should say the most impactful mods that have been released lately. Let's check them out. I was not sure whether I would make another Skyrim modding video after what the so-called community did to my last review.
Shadow banned.
And to think that at some point Skyrim was my favorite game of all time, and modding it my favorite activity. But now every time I think about Skyrim it just leaves a foul taste in my mouth. That's really no surprise also, since the very beginning when I started my YouTube career, if you can call it that, by making Skyrim videos, while there was a couple of cool people who I genuinely considered fans, the majority of the individuals that decided to subscribe to my channel turned out to be the most bitter, hateful, insecure and spiteful creatures I have ever encountered on this planet. Creatures who would for years literally go out of their own way to constantly try to damage, demoralize and cancel my channel and my very being, preventing my channel from growing, developing or reaching new audiences, constantly trying to convince me that it is my content that is bad and it is my own fault that things go so badly, attacking my looks, my speech patterns, the music I use in my videos, literally everything. In other words, literally dedicating their lives to cause harm to someone they briefly even know through some videos on YouTube. Fortunately, over the years, as I released less and less Skyrim videos, the amount of named creatures gradually decreased. And would you look at that, all of a sudden my channel started growing and developing. And that also led me to consider giving it another go, purely out of curiosity. So, let's try it one more time with Skyrim and see where it goes, shall we? So the first mod is SkyClimb, a true and realistic climbing experience. This is a follow-up to the animated traversal mod we reviewed in episode 39. Actually a very cool idea and another attempt to bring Skyrim to modern gaming standards. The climbing mechanic is actually one of the few things they did right in Starfield, so it's only fair that Skyrim gets something like this too. Now the whole "see this mountain, you can climb it" thing becomes real. Funny thing is that this mod actually came out before Starfield. This is probably also why it works a bit differently than the climbing mechanic in Starfield itself. In Starfield it is really smooth and fast and works absolutely everywhere. You will automatically grab onto any edge and pull yourself up, no need to even press a button. Here in Skyrim there will be prompts indicating that a climbing action is possible and you will have to press the jump button to pull yourself up. Theoretically it is also supposed to be possible everywhere, but the reality looks a bit different. You really need to be standing in exactly the right spot for the animation to trigger. This is also what those markers are for. They indicate where it's possible to traverse and where not. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes you will jump like a monkey 3 times on the spot. Sometimes there is a 1 centimeter height difference, so your character will just refuse to do it, you know, like a little kid. So do not expect a fluid motion here. In other words, even the first Assassin's Creed game animations will look worlds ahead of this. You will always have to stop for a split second, look around, then your character will for a split second get into this ready for the animation stance, and then after the animation is done, it's also a split second till you have control again. It is still impressive nevertheless, if you consider that modders built this mechanic from scratch, and it is definitely better than nothing. It just shows how hard it is to achieve something like this in Skyrim's prehistoric engine. The next mod gave me some serious confusion. dMenu, or as it says here even weirder, dMenu. The description confused me even more. A simple "I'm gay" menu that does a little bit of everything. Wow, so does it clean around the house? Does it cook for me? Does it suck my pee-pee? I was very disappointed to find out that it does neither of those things. What it does, however, is also not too bad. Also, for some reason this mod absolutely refused to work with my novice installation. I wasted many hours on this crap, went through hundreds of comments trying to make this work, but still no success. You see, this is another reason why I hate modding Skyrim. Sometimes you really need to have at least a master's degree in quantum physics to try to untangle this mess. It's like trying to use a computer in 1995. Things just happen. Who knows why? With my regular modded game, however, it worked right away. See what I mean? So this mod has several functions. You can change time in real time, really fast and convenient, and also select weathers. Also, for some reason it does not want to display weather names for me, even though I got the required mod. So much for that. Another feature is a whole add item menu, and this is actually the best part of this mod in my opinion. The menu is more interactive and way faster than the add item menu we have had so far and have been using for years now. Here you can actually search for mods and items, but also select some filters and instantly see the contents and also spawn them with a simple click. Even NPCs can be looked up and spawned. That is very convenient. And another feature is another MCM menu of some sort. Not much I can say to this, however, since the mods need to be somehow ported from the regular menu. On the mod page, the author literally said, "I will document how to use it soon for people interested." Yeah, that was almost a year ago, so that's that. Anyways, the next mod is Community Shaders. Wow, it actually took me a while to understand what this dumpster fire is actually trying to be. The description only says open source SKSE core plugin for community-driven advanced graphics modifications for AE, SE and VR. Also fixes bugs. Good job there, Mr. Vague. Nowhere it is mentioned that this mod is trying to be the next best thing in terms of graphics and beat the ENB. Yes, you heard right. This mod right here is trying to compete with ENB.
You serious?
So it's actually a very big thing, a complete graphical framework that opens up a whole new way to build your mod list. It's supposed to look worse than ENB, but in exchange be more stable and so on. So there are obviously already tons of mods that run on this community shader framework, and technically you can use it instead of ENB. So obviously you cannot run both at the same time. And I was banging my head for hours trying to understand why this does nothing. Well, there is also the fact that this mod has already been abandoned, unfortunately. I guess the creators simply noticed that they bit off way more than they could chew with this, and never in hell will be able to hold up a cup of water to ENB. Since the last update of the so-called community shaders, the ENB engine has received 14 updates. Yes, 14. There are rumors going around that this mod still gets worked on and updated on some private discords or whatever. Yeah, so much for community. Wow, it's like I never even left. Things here are as circle jerky as ever. Okay, what else do we have? Well, actually, next I was going to talk about some of the biggest mods that go with this community shader framework. There is a light limit fix, for example, a plugin that allows the number of dynamic lights in the game to be pretty much unlimited, including particle lights, contact shadows, adding first-person shadows for torches and light spells and so on. So basically it's the same thing ENB Lights does for ENB-based builds. Then there is also grass lighting, replaces grass shaders, including a directional light fix, point lights, improved lighting and emulated complex grass. Once again, it's all just an imitation of mods we already have for the ENB series. They are obviously not trying to reinvent the wheel here, more like just trying to adapt or catch up with this new community shaders build. So obviously there are many more mods for the community shaders, and it is a plausible alternative to ENB. Of course it sounds interesting for people who can't afford monster rigs. I, however, personally just can't see myself switching to these community shaders at all, because one, it looks quite ugly in comparison to ENB, to be honest, and two, that would obviously mean rebuilding almost the whole mod list again, and that just doesn't sound like fun to me. Anyway, let's take a look at some more mods that everyone can profit of. Natural Waterfalls, for example, a mod that completely changed the waterfalls in this game. Water will now fall in a completely different way. It will fall twice as immersive with this one, maybe even more. What does that actually mean? It means it will look better. Waterfalls have not only been made more pretty and more immersive, of course, but now will also have cool properly made LODs. So in other words, water will immersively fall even from far away. Ain't that something? Another mod that is kinda cool is Weapon Styles. It comes with a quick access menu that allows you to change weapon positions and also the animations according to it. This menu will be added as a part of the Immersive Equipment Displays mod, so obviously you need that one as well. So here you can change the weapon positions in real time. It is basically the same thing as in the MCM menu of the XPM Skeleton mod, except that you can see what's going on. Also, with this mod you don't really need the skeleton mod anymore, or at least you have to use the minimalist version of it, because if you don't, the XPM will actually overwrite the animations. At least this is what happens in my case, so I had to change things in the MCM menu to make it work. But yeah, the Weapon Styles mod works as intended. Then we have a very cool interface mod by the name of Wheeler. Speaking of reinventing the wheel, now we are doing exactly that. Now I probably don't need to explain what a wheel menu is, we also had similar mods before, but this one is really refined, to say the least. You can use it with keyboard or controller. Basically you can press or hold caps lock by default to bring it up. Time will also freeze while you are doing it. It will say no wheel preset at first, so first of all you have to create a wheel. By default this is done with the N button. You can create as many wheels as you wish, and then you can cycle between them with Q and E. To create new slots you have to press the M button by default, and then you basically just put things into those slots. You have to be either in the magic or the inventory window, and then you just hover over the item or spell and click on it to put it in the slots in the wheel. Clicking the right mouse button by default will erase the entry again. And also you can put several things in one slot. So for example you could make one wheel for magic only, and then put several destruction spells in one slot, several restoration spells in another, and so on. And then you can cycle with the mouse wheel between those entries. So there is not much more to say or explain here actually, it's just a wheel mod, but it works very intuitive, fast and convenient. Also, if you have the dMenu mod we talked about before, you can actually customize the wheels to your liking in real time. So it's all very cool. An absolutely successful reinvention, so to say. We have a couple of more utility mods to look at. The Save Unbaker, for example. It is not very flashy, but this SKSE plugin can actually help a lot. What it does is basically making the game always load certain records from plugins instead of save files. NPC weight and persistent reference position, for example. This is a very well-known old-school problem with Bethesda games, so to say. This plugin can help when you install or remove certain mods without starting a new game. Basically, some things, scripts and whatnot can get hardwired into your saves and mess stuff up. In the past, people were often forced to start new games because some things were just not working as intended, and with a perfectly correct setup mod list also. So this mod aims to remedy this age-old problem, at least to some degree. Let's see what it can do. And then we have something a bit more visual, the photo mode. Ah yes, well I already made fun of it in Fallout, so I guess I might here as well. for years we have been taking screenshots with console commands. Well, there were also some mods to help with this too, but honestly it was never very necessary. So this photo mode, how does it work? Like bots, no, actually it does like literally any other photo mode in such games. We have to press the escape button, and would you look at that, there it is. Well, at first glance it's nothing special and does what other photo modes do as well. You can apply different effects, like a vignette for example. You can twink around with brightness, saturation and all that, although it doesn't really work, because I guess it conflicts with some other mod. Once again, this is novice, so who knows what kind of mess we got here on our hands. But then the interesting part starts. You can actually load different effects from different mods and apply them onto your character, or actually onto the whole screen. You can also load and apply different facial expressions, different animations and even weathers from different mods as well. The menus are a bit annoying to navigate with the keyboard and mouse actually, since the mouse still moves the camera and you have to navigate with buttons. It's actually easier with the controller. But yeah, that is actually some very interesting features, because you can create some really crazy scenes with that. So yes, this is definitely new and actually makes this the coolest camera mode so far. Really positively surprised here. Oh no, there was also this mod. Okay, well, I guess I have to do this. The new gentleman. You know how there are almost 1,000 different options for female body replacers? Well, every once in a while somebody decides to make the same for males. This mod here got a lot of attention because it's quite elaborate. This mod comes with many features and tries to use everything possible in this engine. All-in-one textures and meshes that can be easily applied to everybody, including mod-based NPCs. Of course, also the absolutely needed PP customization and compatibility with all the sexy mods out there that nowadays openly resides on the Nexus. PP distribution to NPCs, including customization options for different sizes and shapes for different races and so on. PP functionality with armors and outfits. Hotkeys to customize add-ons and functions for... well, you know what? Yeah, it's pretty much all about PPs.
All I get is wiener, wiener, wiener.
Yes, this is the best way to summarize this, pretty much. I mean, somebody obviously puts much job into it, I mean work. They really had this PP stuff go through their head intensely and a lot. But enough puns. There is another interesting mod, Dynamic Impact. Now this is a mod that really stands out for its simplicity, flashiness and impact. It adds a very cool visual feedback effect when you successfully hit your target, with some nice customization options. Also, obviously not a brand new idea, there have been similar mods in the past, but this one, well, it just gets its job done really well. This mod modifies Skyrim's vanilla impact data, so there will never be any delay or lag. It also adds different particle effects depending whether you hit flesh, armor, bone and so on, and obviously there are different effects depending on the weapon type you're using as well. So yes, the idea is simple, but it does make combat much more responsive feeling and flashy, literally. Anyway, this is all I've got for you today. Let's see how it turns out. The links are in the description and all, and here you can click on some buttons.